There are now 7 NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange traded, publicly traded cannabis companies. I can tell you, though, we are not doing it right here because our federal laws have created really a money laundering system for many U.S. companies. Guess who did it right, Rusty Nash?
I would say Ecuador.
No.
No.
Canada has done it right by federally making legal the use of cannabis recreationally as well as medicinally. Here to talk about that, Damian Kettlewell is the chairman, CEO, and founder of a company called Blissco.
Love that.
Blissco Cannabis Corporation. And you can go to blissco.com. And I will tell you, they are publicly traded here in the U.S. under the stock symbol HSTRF. HSTRF. I'll put that up on our website so you can see it. But here he is. Great to have you along, Damian. How are you, sir?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Was that
a
a cannabis waffle being made? Did I see it? No, but it was some kind of different
extraction machine. Yeah.
So look, you have been in the regulated environments a long time. You were a director of I think it was Jake's or Jack's Beer and Wine.
Yeah.
That's the liquor business.
Absolutely. So yeah. I mean, it's thanks for having me on, and it's great to be here, and we're very proud of where we're at in Canada since we've had legalization since October 17th. But let's take a moment to be grateful for California because you led the way in 1996 and you legalized medical marijuana on a state line, on a state base. And
was California the first?
California, yeah. Canada did it in 2001.
See, all you people watching us in Colorado or New York, we were the first ones.
Yeah, we go.
1996, absolutely. So, but from that progression, basically, we can thank the advocates and the patients who bonded together and created lawsuits to force our government. Basically, it was 11 straight court cases, and then the good folks in Ottawa had a couple different ways of doing it and introduced a federal licensing model in 2013.
Yeah.
So that model created some of these companies that you mentioned that are on the NASDAQ today, like Tilray and Carlos Group, and then now it's 6 months in, and we're making progress federally.
Who was pushing back on it? Who were the opponents?
The opponents,
the federal government, I would assume.
Yeah, it's a risky. I mean, you got to run for office saying, I want to legalize cannabis.
Yeah.
I mean, how many votes are you going to get in the 90s, right? I mean, there's guys like Steve D'Angelo that were protesting from San Francisco, protesting in 1971 at the White House, and that is gutsy to get things going then. So, but we've had some folks working hard in Canada, and now it's a real business.
Yep.
There's taxes coming in line. We know what happened in Colorado. There's more schools built when you legalized it in 2014.
Yeah.
So Canada, we're making good, steady progress. And Blissco is a Canadian cannabis wellness brand. So we're really focused on the wellness components and the full spectrum. We believe in incorporating as many of the 110 plus cannabinoids in your oil. Primarily, we're an oil-focused company.
Yeah.
There's the terpenes, the cannabis terpenes that really. It's interesting when people, initially like in Colorado, what was popular? High THC or high CBD.
Oh, the high part.
Initially, then it was indica sativa. But in Colorado and California, you're more advanced than us in Canada right now because you're really into the terpenes. You want to know what those terpenes are.
So let's take a step back here between the two countries because Canada did it right. Was there was there a period in Canadian cannabis story where it was much like the U.S. where you had a division in thought? That sort of because what happens here in the U.S. is we have a division in thought that molds politics, right? And as you just mentioned, many people are going to go out there and try to run for office, but how many votes are they going to get? Let's say if they're in the Bible Belt, they may not get them the same amount of votes as they were in Colorado or in California.
Absolutely.
You guys have the same thing happen up there prior? Was it a little bit of a battle?
It was definitely a battle, and there's folks who were setting up stores, and there was like legal home grows that were happening and providing growing your own supply, and so that
it's called a speakeasy. Russ.
Well,
speakeasy, So that's so there was some great advocates, and I actually organized a few medical cannabis and industrial hemp grassroots events in '97 and '98.
Community organizer.
So community organizer, grassroots. So
we got it.
Did definitely contributed. There was folks who are putting in more work than myself on that front, and people spending time in jail even, right? So,
Wow.
But patients are winning. I mean, how is a judge going to sit there and listen to a respectable lawyer or government official listen to a patient that has fibromyalgia or has has seizures and like they're talking like this and like, come on, it's just a plant. So that's allowed folks like myself to live the dream of being a cannabis entrepreneur and having a federal license. In Canada, yes, we have to give. There was a prime minister was in third place at the start of the last federal election, and he says, he probably didn't think he was going to win, and then he said, I'm going to legalize cannabis, and he did it. So
talk about Blissco. So there's sort of the history of what's happened between the two countries. Talk about Blissco and what makes you guys different, what you guys do exactly.
Absolutely. We're really focused on being a wellness company, like I mentioned, and having the full entourage and the full spectrum of cannabis oil. So currently we were licensed We submitted our license back in May 2014. We got licensed in March 2018. We're licensed to cultivate. We're licensed to sell dried cannabis. We're selling currently in British Columbia at the bccannabisstores.com and in the provincially licensed stores across Canada. We're selling dried flower and pre-rolls.
So, by the way,
Nice.
I'm going to keep you over here because there's lots to talk about. But I guess the question is that if you're in California, Rusty, you got Russ's Cannabis Company. You can't ship to another state.
Not yet.
I think you can ship to Colorado.
Yeah.
But maybe not. See, this is why. See,
I drove with some into Nevada.
Damian Kettlewell. He's now our expert.
I brought my own to Vegas.
I remember.
It was just,
you FedExed it over there, didn't you?
Well,
it was
something
all
like
taped
that.
up.
In the guitar, just like
Blissco Cannabis Corp is our guest today. Damian Kettlewell, founder, CEO, chairman of the company.
Great.
Go to blissco.com. We're going to spend more time with him. Also, maybe check in some numbers and talk about the lovely cannabis industry up in Canada. All right, Big Biz Show. Back in a second. Stand by.
More rock jokes.
Big Biz.